Hello and welcome to the sixth lesson here in terms of how to learn Sanskrit. And today we are going to introduce a couple of new things. We're doing 3 new verbs, and we are also doing 2 indeclinables, as they're called. So no new pronouns for this lesson. Okay, so let's start with the verbs. If I can get my pointer here. All right, verbs. Oops, that's a little too wavy. Okay, verbs. So we have the root dhav, and as always, for my sake, or for these lessons' sake, you don't need to memorize dhav if you don't want to, because what we are doing here is all about creating sentences and creating phrases and like that. So, but for the future, of course, it's always good to know that if you need to go to a dictionary, or if you need to look it up some other way. But this is, of course, optional if you want. Alright, so we have then in third person singular dhāvati, which means he runs. He runs. So usually in the dictionaries we may see like a form such as to run, dhav, to run, but it's not actually infinitive or infinitive form of the verb, but it's just the root. So, but this is a lookup term. Alright, so dhāvati, he runs. Let's see, we have more. Tyajati. Tyajati. He abandons. He abandons. Tyajati. And the root there is tyaj. And then we have khādati. Which means he eats. And the root here is then khād. So it's interesting to see then that the roots here to the left in this group of 3 verbs, these are very predictable. So if this was the first lesson in Sanskrit, you may think that, oh, it's so simple to know which root a verb has, because if I have dhāvati, then I can just take the 4 first letters and then that's the root. But of course that's not the case in most cases of the verbs that we so far have completed. We see that the root form in many cases they may have a vowel, they may have an E sound here or something else, so it's not predictable from knowing the third person singular form. In any case, so it's just this, so we know that it's not always easy to locate. Alright, so we have these verbs, and then we can, as usual, we can provide the different forms for first person singular and the second person and the third person here. So let's say dhāvami, I run. Dhāvami. And then dhāvasi, you run. You singular run. And naturally we just repeat this, dhāvati. And we do it in Devanagari. We have long a, dha, and here should be a long a. I spelled it wrong. Dhāvami, dhāvami, dhāvami. So I apologize for that. Dhāvami, and we do the same thing here in Devanagari. Dha is there and wa is there and si is there, and then we just connect all of them like that. And then the last one, dhāvati, in this case, dhāvati. Alright, so that's those forms. So I am running or I run. Excuse me, I just my throat was a little dry there. Dhāvami, I run. Dhāvasi, you run. Dhāvati, he runs. And as usual here, when we were talking about the third person singular, he runs is just a place marker here actually. So, but it's the default value, we can say. So whenever we see dhāvati, we may think he runs, because often it is something masculine that runs. But it may also be something of feminine grammatical gender or neuter grammatical gender. So so it may actually be she runs or it runs here also. We don't know that, but the default sort of value for anything that ends with ati here in this case is he. Okay, but it depends. It depends if we have a so let's say we have like a name here, Rama runs. So then we would, okay, we just do that. Then we would translate this, or translate this Rama dhāvati or dhāvati. That. And in this case, of course, from the text here, we know that it is a he. Rama is the hero and the masculine, and so similarly, if we would have, let's say we have a girl name here, and we do the same thing, we would use the same verb here, dhāvati, right? But here now we understand the verb to be female. So if we are having a sentence which sort of, okay, so we have a paragraph. Let's say we have a paragraph, and in the previous sentence we're talking, we know that the mention Sita, the name Sita, so it's a female, and in the next sentence there is no proper name Sita mentioned, but we know that this sentence, we understand from the context that this sentence continues from the previous one, and then if we then read dhāvati, it may be natural to assume that it's she runs, because Sita was mentioned in the previous sentence. Alright, so but that's all contextual, so we don't know that until we look at the bigger picture, so to speak. Okay, so now we go on to abandoning. So tyaj is about abandoning, to abandon. So we have then tyajami, I abandon. Tyajasi, you abandon. And tyajati, he abandons. So we have our T, and this is not the ta, but a lonely T, which means that we have to, so normally of course our T is, or ta looks like this, ta, but since we only need the T, we have to remove the vertical stroke like that, and now we do the ya and the j. It's actually long ah here, tyajami, and the mi sound here, mi. Okay, tyajami, I abandon. Tyajami, I abandon. Tyajasi, okay, we do the same here, starting off with ja, ja, and here we have si instead of mi, and we get something like this. And always we should try to make the stroke above here that it ends on the last, on the rightmost part of the letter under it. That looks better. Okay. And now we have, so tyajasi was means you abandon. singular. You there, one person, you abandon. Tyajati, so he or she or it abandons. Okay, we have jip, ti. All right, tyajati, he abandons. This is he eating. What is that? He eating. This is he eats, naturally. We don't want participles combined with in this form. All right, now let's go to khādati, and we start with khādami. And note here that we have two long sounds here. So it's not khādami, but khādami. And we have the letter k. I'm not sure if we have had this before in this series, but I'm writing it up here. So we have the transliteration representation is KHA here, 3 letters in the Roman script, and we write it as an R almost, and then we add a circle, and then we go vertical stroke down, something like that. K. So it's actually very similar to ra and wa. If I write ra here, ra and wa. So one should not be confused here. So you should be vigilant, or you should take care to not confuse these, and you have to so you can remember this, and you can sort of take it as a separate exercise to go to your favorite Sanskrit textbook and see what the actual difference is here in terms of distances between the different strokes here. So maybe it turns out that the distance between the left part here in the ka and the right part in the ka is somewhat more condensed, or is smaller distance than if you were writing ra and wa like near each other. So, but anyway, I think it's an interesting point, at least. All right, so let's do the khādami. I eat. Or we can do, let's do all of them first. Khādasi. And then you eat. And we have, last but not least, khādati. He eats. And if we now ka, and we have a long a here, and then we have a d, da, da, and mi sound. Khādati. And we repeat here, we do a ka, ka, and now we have a short da and a si. Khādati. You eat. You there, lonely person. You eat. Khādati. He eats. Khādati. Like that. So that the three forms, the sort of basic three forms. Dhāvami, I run. Dhāvasi, you run. Dhāvati, he runs. Tyajami, I abandon. Tyajati, you abandon. Tyajati, he abandons. Khādami, I eat. Khādati, you eat. Khādati, he eats. Alright, so that was the verbs, the three verbs, and now we are going to the next sheet here, if I can find it, where we are doing Indeclinables, which simply means words that are not changing their endings or anything like that, so they are always looking the same, except for, of course, sandhi, but we're not doing that in this course. So the indeclinables are always stable, unlike the verbs, for instance, which always are having different endings, and unlike the nouns, which also are having different endings. Alright, so let's see what we can do here. So I'm presenting two indeclinables, and one indeclinable is the word cha, and another one is wa, long a here. And cha means and wa means or. So you and I, or he or she, expressions such as that. And one of the rules is according how to use. So these are not used as in English in terms of syntax. So that's one of the peculiarities here with it's just and. So that's but it's not just to sort of switch out and put in cha. Instead, you have to also know how to do the switch. So you cannot word for word just do it. You have to change the word order also somewhat. So we'll go through that here. And one of the rules then is that none of these do appear, or they never first in a sentence. Okay. Now that's perhaps not so. I mean, that's not so peculiar. For if I say, I say Stephen and Mary go. If I create a sentence like that, then of course and here is never first in an English sentence either. So it's not. So this first rule here is sort of just I don't know, maybe it's not so peculiar. So we can say that this is natural, more or less. Of course, some persons start their sentences even in English with like and John does too, or something like that. So then this situation here would never occur in Sanskrit with cha here in this position as the first. But this situation is and in Sanskrit this doesn't actually look like that either, but it's somewhere, but never first in a sentence. So this doesn't. The second sentence up here to the right is not. Doesn't look like that, and the first sentence, Stephen and Mary go, we would not have cha here either. So that's, and actually when I think about it here, actually the rule is more or less never first two words in a sentence. So cha never occurs. So the cha always occurs. No, that's not correct either. Okay, I retract that because there is a special example. So I will remove this, and this is as much rule we can have for now. And now we go to the example. So I'm going to explain this. So let's say we want to say. Let's say we want to say. He runs and I eat. And note here now that I have hyphens here. He hyphen runs and I hyphen eat. And by that I mean what I want in the translation here is that we are not using pronouns, but I'm requesting just one word here. He hyphen runs. I want to translate this as a verb only. And the same here, I hyphen eat. I also want that as a verb without a pronoun. So then we can do this. Dhāvati and we do khādami, right? Khādami. Now the peculiarity here in Sanskrit is that there are two ways you can express the and here. One way is to only put the and to the very at the end of the last word. So I can put the and here. Well, not the and, but the cha. Cha. So then we can say the and syntax wise, it has to be moved over here. So we're sort of switching here the order when we are translating it. Okay, and then another variant is that we repeat the cha after those words that we are sort of grouping together. So dhāvati cha, khādati cha would also mean he runs and I eat. So there are two methods, and of course if we have three verbs we would have three cha. But in English we would only have two. So maybe we can do this as an example here. Let's switch back color to black, and let's see, let's do he runs and you remember and I eat. One more then. Okay, so then dhāvati cha, you remember smarati. Smarasi. Smarasi cha, and I eat. Khādami cha. So this would be the three words. So we would have three chas in cha, and cha, while in English we would have only two. and. So there's one more in Sanskrit. In this idea here, but we could also so if we call this method 1 here, method 1 with just one cha after the last one, one cha, and method 2 would be one cha after each. So here in this case then, he runs and you remember and I eat. This would be then, we are using method 2 here. So one cha after each connected word. So all of these are dhāvati is a verb, and smarasi is a verb, and khādami is a verb. Sorry, it's so. And because we have 3 verbs, we have 3 cha. But if we use method 1 to express the same, to do the same translation, we would get dhāvati, smarasi, khādami cha. And this, so my idea here then is that we are using method number 1 here as the default. So unless I say so explicitly, when we are doing an exercise like from English to Sanskrit, like this one here, we have this he runs and you remember and I eat. The default here always is method 1, because that's the simplest one, most concise one. And method 2 I will only use in this course as a like when we are translating from Sanskrit to English. So if the exercise is dhāvati cha, smarasi cha, khādami cha, and to translate that to English, then it's another thing. Then you will see method 2 in the text. But otherwise, we will just at what I'm imagining right now. But of course, one possibility could be to say something like this, that you have an exercise like this, that he runs, runs, and then we can do something like this, and 2 I eat, and we could have and 1. We could have such a system. I'm not sure, but it's harder to read, I think. It's on the limit, I think, for for reading, and it becomes too many all these figures, digits here with the text, makes it little problematic. But it would be good to sort of switch here. So if I say he runs and two, I eat, then you would know that I'm requesting method 2 here. So it's a possibility, but but for now I think we have that if I just say and, as in this example here, and he runs and you remember, and I eat, this and here is and number 1. This is and method 1 by default, by sort of. And if I don't say anything else, then we may have some I may find some other combination here, and X or and I, or some letter here which sounds better. But for now I think we would just stick with the word and if you see that in an exercise, you should translate it according to the method 1 up here, with just one cha placed after the last word that is in the group. Alright, so that's one thing there, and then we can talk a little bit more about this. Let's go to another sheet here. The place is so in the previous examples we had just one word where we were connecting, and in that case, so what I did was that if we had 3 verbs, for instance, so we have well, let's take the latest 3 words, dhāvati, tyajati, and khādati. Cha. So this is method 1, only one cha. So that's the, or we don't have to have so many. We can, but that's the sort of, you place them after. But in this case it was simple because there was nothing in between here. There was just one verb and one verb and one verb, and then the cha. So these are all of the same type. But when we are writing using more words in a sentence or in a part of a sentence, then the rules are a little bit different. So here's an example of such a case. He runs. And she eats. And note here now that there is no hyphen here between he and runs, and there is no hyphen in between she and eats, and that means that I want the translation here to have a pronoun plus a verb. So pronoun and verb. Pronoun and verb. Okay, let's do that then. Saha dhāvati. So that's simple. And she eats. Okay. Sa khādati. But now here we are the word and here is connecting the two clauses. There's a so we have a clause he runs, and we have a clause she eats, or we can call it the phrase, and we are connecting those two phrases. So we're no longer connecting just one thing with this, like three separate words. Now we're connecting two separate phrases. So then the rule is somewhat different. And the rule then is that the and word, the cha, should be placed after the second, after the first word in the second phrase here. So it should be placed here. So we can say here once again that we are I'm not sure if I said it before, but it's like we are flipping. We are flipping here. Let's see, we can have a blue one here maybe. So we are flipping the and here and the she. And that means there we have to go back and change the order down here. We have to remove the sa here, and we have to flip it around so sa comes first and cha comes here. And this may be a little counterintuitive for English speakers, but that's the sort of like the basic rule, that we are putting the cha after the first word of the second phrase. And now we can maybe do another example here. We can let's say we can flip it around. It abandons or we eat. So then we do the same thing here. We can yeah, so this is then the word or, and in Sanskrit this is wa. And wa has exactly the same rules as cha, or for the purpose of this exercise at least. So, or it's not an exercise yet, but for the purpose of this explanation, I meant to say. So it abandons, or we eat. And note here once again, I do not have any hyphens between it and abandons, and not between we or eat either. So I'm expecting a noun and a verb, and another noun and another verb. So once again then we have a phrase here, or a clause, and another one, another phrase or clause here, and our method again here is that we are flipping, just as in the and, we're flipping the or and the we, so that we can get the right word order in Sanskrit. So tat tyajati, third person singular, or we, so we have to say vayam va eat khādāmaha. Like that. So it abandons, or we eat. Tat tyajati vayam va khādāmaha. All right, so now we can okay, we can do another example here quickly. We can do this this one here with the hyphens. He eats with a hyphen, or you abandon with a hyphen. And here then the difference is here that this is just as in the case of cha that we talked about before, is that we only have one word here each. It's not a phrase. Well, it is a phrase, but it's just a one-word phrase, and that makes it become much easier. So then we would just have khādati, tyajasi, wa. Alright, that sums it up for this lesson, and now we'll have the exercises, which will be posted in the other videos that are for this lesson. So if you're using the playlist, they will come up automatically. So I hope you had a good time, and I also hope that you will have a great day. ahead. Bye bye.